Hello everyone, this is Rosemary and this is going to be a walkthrough on my vintage 4th of July junk journal made from a brown envelope. That's the 6 by 9 envelopes that you can see. And it's also going to be a small little tutorial on how I use paper tablets, usually the kind you get from charities. And this is Wounded Warriors. This is a memo pad that was given to my sister. These three, you will see, these 3 memo pads you'll be seeing in this journal. You're also going to see how I use greeting cards. And this I purchased a long time ago when I was teaching social studies. And these are, again, these are stamps that you get in the mail from charities. This one's from Disabled American Veterans. My brother had given me a bunch of these stamps, and I'm going to be showing you how I use these memo pads. I love to use memo pads, and they're usually really small and you don't get very many pages. And what I do is I will cut a paper, usually the same weight as the paper pad. So this would, don't use cardstock. I got these red strips from this memo pad. And so this, when it's a small memo pad, I usually cut a strip about 3/4 inch wide and the length of the pad. If it was a big pad like this, which is probably 8.5, I could easily get away with 1 inch if I as a hinge. And what I do with the paper is I simply fold it in half. Now, because this is just regular paper, copy paper, I don't score it. I just kind of fold it in half, get it as even as possible, and just fold it. If I was using cardstock, and of course it would be to put 2 pieces of cardstock together, I would score it. So there you see it, it's in half. And what I do is I'm on glue, make sure I'm in frame. I will keep it folded and I will put a line of glue and I will get it as close to the fold as possible. You don't want to go over because I'll mess it up. I don't know if you can see on the video, you can see that little red strip. And then I fold it, spread the glue as quick, as evenly as possible. And sometimes I'll let it dry. And now we open the hinge up. And I am going to put glue in the inside, not on the outside. And then I'm going to put the front of the second page of the memo pad right there. And the best way is to fold it, and that way you know you're not passing the fold. And then, of course, smooth it over, and I like to let them dry flat. Now, as you're looking at this, some of you are saying, oh, that red strip looks really very unsightly. Well, I'm going to show you how I decorate the page, and you'll see how I deal with that. And again, like I said, and I'm not really doing it right now because of the interest of time. And you will see, and I will point out when I've used memo pads in this journal. So they are a wonderful way of making pages that kind of fit with your theme when it's really difficult to find a variety of paper. So here we go. This is my journal, and I moved this time around, and this is my second take, so I'm going to try to stay more in frame than I was before. And this time I moved my button to the far edge right here. And the elastic is tied to the button. And so the elastic is going to go around the whole book and keep it in place. Kind of like it for a small journal like this. It's almost like a great solution for a field journal. And I covered it in with some scrap paper, and here it is, Life, Liberty. And it had happiness. I need to be a social studies person, pursuit of happiness. And you can see, and I will show you, this is the whole envelope, and I just simply folded it in half. Because I've been watching paper bag videos, I cut the edge open because you could put something inside. And this little journal will fit inside totally in here. And like I said, this is leftover paper. I'm kind of liking that idea of putting a little journal in. And it is just made out of, this is washi, leftover pages so that I could get rid of all these little scraps. This came from an investment little report, and it has a little flap, and you can see the writing there. So when I get my financial reports, those little corporation things, this is John Hancock Investments. I look for the blank pages and I use them for my junk journals. And again, this is just leftover paper I had, and it will fit really nicely in here. So, and I added pockets. This picture, as we begin with the beginning of this journal, it looks kind of plain even though the paper's not plain. But I thought it'd be a wonderful place for a picture, whoever the new owner is, or you could just simply glue this right here, and it works really nice. And I would urge the new owner, just glue on 3 sides, because then you could have a pocket. And that's what I do on many of my printables as we go through here. Okay, so one of the things I like to do with leftover paper is to put little borders. They're just 1/4-inch strips. And once I have my pages initially made, I have leftover paper that's too small for pockets, or it's too thin. I will just cut into 1/4 strips and I start decorating. And here, plenty of journaling, but it's a decorated page. My images came from Pinterest. Just put some washi right there. And like I said, I want to decorate it, but I want to give space to the new owner. This was like a little paper doll. And again, leftover paper. This is from the back, the cardboard part of the paper pad on Wounded Warriors, and I thought it worked well on there. And with these stamps from DAV, I made many embellished paper clips, and they just add something. I forgot to add my strip up there. And this is a printable, and this is what I mean about gluing on 3 corners, 3 sides of the image. And I do put hinges in, and this is made from the paper pad, and you can kind of see it right there. I did some trimming so that it could fit inside the pocket, and it goes right there. Oops, it's trying to stay in frame. This was leftover piece of scrap paper. I made it into another project. It didn't work out, and you can see the fold there, so I recycled it. This is also part of the pad, that Wounded Warriors, and it was a very long portion and had these stars, so I folded it over, and this side had lines. And this came from that greeting card I was showing you. And when I cut greeting cards, I keep the front and the back, or try to if I remember, and it becomes like a journaling tag. And here is what I'm going to be doing with that paper. This is a hinge. This is the hinge right in the center. And then I get 1/4-inch papers, just like I did before. And no one would know that this was a paper pad that had been hinged. So that's what we're going to see at the end of this video. This is also, these are some stamps I put in here. This is how I covered that Wounded Warrior emblem that you saw here, just with these stamps, so no one would know. And one of the things, some people want all their pages to be the same. This is a junk journal, and I find that tablets give you a little bit of variety of paper size, which add to the charm. This is also a hinge, and it's punched, and there is some, it's like a tuck spot. And depending on how wide I cut it. And so this little card tag would fit right there, and the tuck spot would hold it in place if I wanted. And here's, it's again another, nope, this wasn't one of those. This is one I cut apart. Again, those stamps I've mentioned before. Here's some postage stamps. They form a little tuck spot right there. Doily. Washi tape and a little bit leftover paper. They form a little pocket. And I think this is what I was talking about, where you do that. And it decorates, adds interest, And again, this is also paper. This red paper is from this paper pad. And I did hinge because it's not really wide enough. So this is again an example, and the washi tape is hiding the hinge this time around. This is my favorite printable right here. Will you go off with me on the 4th? And many times on my images, I just glue them 3 sides so they will be a tuck spot. This is leftover card from the little journal with Betsy Ross right there, and it goes in there. Again, I've talked about the edging. This is a tuck spot. This is a memo pad. Yes, most of you are used to making them into journaling cards instead of pages. Again, some little decorations, the little tuck spots up here. I use the postage stamps to decorate the pockets. And sometimes instead of strips like you will see, oops, let me see. Oh, can't find my, of course, instead of doing strips like this, I will get out my punch just for a little bit of variety. It just depends what mood I'm in, how much time I have. This little George Washington was part of some paper dolls. Here's a tag, and from that same red memo pad, I cut part of it and made it into one of those faux envelopes. No one would know these were paper pads, red, white, and blue. And again, this is another picture. It also is a tuck spot. So you could put something right there, or you could glue it down, just depends. Again, a postage stamp, memo pad folded over for a pocket. And again, the decoration, tuck spot up there. This is a copy of that suffragette, and it folds up. This is also a little tuck spot, and I should probably put a little tag on there. This is just an index card with a strip of the stars there to show you. This is why I glue them on 3 sides. And yes, I do put hinges, which is that folded paper, and it makes a pocket where your tag will slide easier. The Statue of Liberty, isn't she cute? She's a tuck spot. And again, just some edging to decorate your pages. I use the stamps to decorate the pocket. A doily. This is such a fun printable, and it with the stars around that edging, it just is very finished page, yet very simple page. Again, these are just 2 journaling cards. The page has been left plain, and I just put 2 of them there. And by now you should recognize that Statue of Liberty memo pad. Talked about that already once. The tuck spot, here's Uncle Sam. Here's a corner tuck, not right there, another Uncle Sam. And again, I use those, and talked about the pocket. This is also came from the back of the memo pad. The greatest casualty is being forgotten. And this is an embellished envelope, paper clip, and it's holding one of these. And then this looks like a airmail envelope. And then this is a postage stamp that's also an embellished paper clip. And right here is again one of those cards that flips up. And here's another pocket. I left this pocket open so the new owner can take all of the tags out and put them here and pull them out as she uses it. And here you can see the pocket down here, and everything kind of matches because I guess when I went to this store, of course everything was on sale, which was a great incentive. And here we go. So this is my journal. Now I'm going to follow up on the hinging right here. And I do want to show you that, because this is my second take, this is the first one I did, and what I did was I punched, and my hinge decorated it. So this is like, I use my punch, and and you saw that on several pages where you saw the scallop edge. So sometimes you can keep them straight, you can decorate them. This one right here, as you're looking at this one right here, I will show you what I do to decorate those pages. Now, my strips are 1/4 inch, and they're already cut because of the time factor. And all I do is I just glue, because you already have one side, I glue the top and the bottom. I hope they're measured and they're fitting just right. Let's see. And if they're a little bit long, better that they're long than if they're short, let me tell you. Because then short, you have to find an embellishment to cover that area. And there you go. And on this one, I don't know if you can notice up close, I've put like a 45-degree angle. This being so thin, you might not catch it, but what it really amounts to is, I thought I had my paper here. Well, look at the hinge like this, and let it be like a 45-degree angle, and you cut it. And once, basically what you're doing is you're mitering the corners right there. And that's what I've done with a long strip. And it gives you a real nice finish edge without too, it just makes it look a little bit more professional with very little effort. And you can see that the top was a little bit big. And so then I just simply get my scissors and I trim. And as I mentioned, I like for them to glue to dry flat, and and see, there it is, it's decorated. Now you can do the same on the back side. You can use your scallop, you can it just depends what you want to do. Like I said, on some of these I will do this, and I don't know if you noticed on one of these pages I scalloped it all the way around. It just depends. Here is one, and I have it a punch, and I just punched little stars to go with the stars and stripes. But there is one page right here where I just use my punch all the way around and use the scallops. So it's really up to you how much time, and sometimes you just kind of get into these little moods and you just start playing with your paper. But in any case, these pages are wonderful additions to your journals with very little effort and very little cost. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again.